What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. There's a surprising notice that just hit. 2/16 Thursday, 4-star Crimson Seed and 3-star Timeless Anchor. Those are artifacts. Balance Adjustment Preview. And I'll give a quick spoiler, guys. You probably saw in the title or the thumbnail already. They are getting nerfed, and they're pretty significant nerfs. So I think if you guys can let me know, any other Day 1 players out there, I know like Wind Rider way back when got adjusted, and by adjusted I mean nerfed. But there hasn't really been too many artifact nerfs, at least in a long while, and this one is big. So we're going to talk about why I think Smilegate's doing this. We're going to go through these exact notes first, talk about what explicitly or exactly is getting changed, what characters we're currently using them in the current meta, and might get affected or hurt by this. And yeah, we'll wrap that all up, as this is a pretty big deal overall. So let me know what you guys think fully about these artifact nerfs after we go through the info, okay? Real quick, guys, I wanted to clear something up. In my earlier video this week, when the Death Dealer Ray buffs were announced, I looked at this pretty briefly, and unfortunately I missed something here, which I think a few of y'all commented, and I learned the hard way when I tested him on stream earlier today. So obviously the red part was removed, right, guys, in the before, and then the green part was added in the after. Well, I just read quickly that the this effect is not activated by a counterattack, dual attack, or extra attack. That was removed, so I assumed counters, duels, and extra attacks would be proccing Pestilence, but that's not the case, right? You still kept the wording of after attacking on the bear's turn. Unfortunately, that is still there. So counterattacks, they didn't really need to remove it. I guess this was just to clean up the wording, but you can obviously never counterattack on your own turn. And so this really only affects certain heroes, such as Solitaria, Alencia, Bellion when she's Soulburn, just to name a few. While this does make Ray, right, still have a lot more units they can work with. And by the way, his combo with Solitaria is disgusting. Unfortunately, that doesn't allow, a lot of counterattack units to affect the Pestilence. So there was a lot of units I was really excited to try out and have fun with, but that's not the case. Sorry, I just had to clear that up real quick. Let's get back to the artifact nerfs. All right, y'all, let's break down the patch notes real quick. So let's read through together. Hello, this is Epic 7. There's a pre-announcement of the planned balance adjustment of the 4-star artifact Crimson Seed and the 3-star artifact Timeless Anchor, which will take effect after the February 16th update. So it's a while away. Still almost a month away still. They're going to apologize for the disruption of the balance adjustment that this will cause to our area's gameplay. With that in mind, we like to explain and guide us through the process. So that's what we want to see, what their thought process is in nerfing these two artifacts. Crimson Seed and Timeless Anchor artifacts were originally designed to constantly install debuffs from the hero they are equipped on. However, in comparison to its activation condition, it made it easier for certain heroes to effectively respond to debuffs such as Thunder Sleep. So those are the main two, I think, targets, guys. Look at the latest unit, DDR. Death Dealer Ray has a sleep on his S1. They kind of just gave Dark Corvus recently like immunity to stun as well. But let's see here, which was one of the main reasons that made heroes who specialize in inflicting debuffs use less frequently in PvP content. Therefore, we have decided to make adjustments to the balance to the balance of certain artifacts in order to better regulate their impact on debuffs and PvP content and increase the usage of debuff specializing heroes. So either, guys, right now in their internal data, debuffing specializing heroes, especially ones that stun or sleep, are either underplayed, and or there's future units that they want to release that include stuns or sleeps, that these artifacts from the Seed and Timeless Anchor are maybe just doing too much against them. All right, well, before I give my comments on what I think about the nerfs, let's go ahead and talk about or see the exact changes here, guys. So Crimson Seed before, 35 to 70% chance to dispel one debuff after being attacked. Most of y'all know what Crimson Seed does already, right? You get it from Hollow Trials. Very, very powerful artifact on units like Apocalypse Ravi, sometimes Dark Corvus, just to name a few. But now afterwards it's getting changed to after attacking, right? So now we have to attack instead of getting hit. Has a 40 to 80% chance to dispel one debuff. We keep the can only be activated once per turn clause. And we actually say it twice for some reason. Okay. Yeah, guys, we need to be careful with the wording. Look what happened with DD Ray. So I'm going to be careful, make sure I read everything. But I think this is just a mistake in the wording. Okay, so guys, we do get 10% more of a total chance. However, it's only after attacking. So in all honesty, if we ignore dual attacks, or let's say counterattacks, this is just going to be so much harder to proc than when you're getting hit, especially on a unit like Apocalypse Ravi. Now, Apoc Ravi could be run on counter sets, so maybe some people will still try this. I'm eager to see if it's still worth running after the February 16th change when this goes live. But in my opinion, I think this is a pretty significant nerf that makes Crimson Seed just fall out of the one of the top spots. we'll talk more about APOC, Ravi, and Crimson, and sorry, Crimson Seed and Dark Corvus and all that in a second. Timeless Anchor changes 25 to 50% chance to dispel 1 debuff at the moment the caster's attack, right? That's what it does currently. And remember, guys, the main difference between Crimson Seed and Timeless Anchor is that even though Timeless Anchor has a higher chance, right, 20% higher chance total, this one can only be activated once per turn. So Timeless Anchor can constantly proc the Cleanse or the Dispel 1 debuff, which was very powerful on slower units, where Crimson Seed would be better on units that could take more turns effectively. After attacking, so this is the change after, and even though I put it in green, guys, it is, in my opinion at least, a nerf. After attacking, has a 20 to 40% chance to Dispel 1 debuff. That is very low. And like I mentioned, guys, Timeless Anchor, I think, really shines when you run it on a slower unit. Because even though it has a lower chance, that slower unit is probably going to get hit a lot before it takes its turn. So it can cleanse multiple debuffs every time it gets hit, has a chance. Now you have to attack with it. So now I think like there's no point really running Timeless Anchor. If you wanted one of those after attacking chance to dispel a debuff, I think you almost always run Crimson Seed. Maybe there's a rare exception. If y'all can think of any, let me know. But yeah, I just think that's a pretty heavy nerf for Timeless Anchor. Pretty heavy nerf for Crimson Seed, but Timeless Anchor for sure. I don't see the reason for running that anymore, at least in my eyes. So, yeah, guys, those are the exact nerfs, and they're pretty much saying the same thing here. So, we hope these changes will increase the diversity of PvP heroes to be used in various ways. All right, let's go in and break that down a little bit. So, when Crimson Seed was getting changed, guys, or nerfed, the 2 units that immediately came to my mind, number 1 obviously was Apocalypse Ravi. I think a lot of y'all out there probably have Apocalypse Ravi, probably love Apocalypse Ravi, as she's a very, very, powerful unit that can be used in so many different scenarios. However, lately she's kind of been on a little bit of a downtrend. Just not as, she's not the top of the food chain as much as she used to be. Still very powerful, don't get me wrong, and I'll fight back at anyone says that she's actually bad now. But yeah, she's not quite the terror that she used to be. Still very powerful, but now with the loss of the previous Crimson Seed, we get this new one. I think that's going to knock her down a peg even further, at least for the Crimson Seed users. Now, a lot of people might be on a different artifact, Proof of Valor, if you want to survive those odd-ins, previously like Little Queen Charlotte's, things like that, big nukes she could survive, anti-cleave, whatever. But I know a lot of people, especially in areas outside of RTA, really like that Crimson Seed, as it can surprise a lot of players, it can really save you a lot of times, and it felt very, very powerful on a strong unit like APOC Ravi. So I do think this will knock her down a peg. Luckily, we have other artifacts, but if you were struggling with debuffs, especially on bruisers like APOC, you might have to go in a different direction. Now, unfortunately, the alternative, if Smilegate wants to change things like make sleep and stun more viable, I think they need to also look at effect resist, but that's a topic for another video, guys. In just my opinion, cleansing versus debuffing has always been sort of a back and forth battle, and honestly, I think effect resist always felt kind of bad. If you just look at the stat wise, effect resist just requires so much more stat allocation, as you need 100 more effect resist to cover the unit in question's effectiveness. I'm not going to bog y'all down with the numbers, but essentially, I think if they're going to take away artifacts like Crimson Seed, I think they need to look at giving the option at least to players to gear effect resist a little more easily. Now, I know some players out there are on Bastion of Hope or have some kind of playstyle that allows them to ignore ER, but I do think a lot of players out there, guys, do struggle with just getting controlled, getting debuffed, and I think losing Crimson Seed, which maybe in Smilegate's eyes was too powerful, or just stopped too many units that want to do that sleep, want to do that stun, future units that come out, I do think that is going to hurt a lot of players right now, especially newer ones that struggle handling, a lot of debuffs until they have more options, more gear, things like that. So I do think this will be a pretty big change for a lot of players out there. Especially the ones that were running Crimson Seed right now. I don't know a lot of players that were running Timeless Anchor. That's usually more of an endgame thing, like a special tech. But now, guys, definitely I don't think anyone will run it. If anything, you're just going to run Crimson Seed if you want to have this effect here. But yeah, boys, let me know what you guys think overall on, does this affect you personally? Do you like Smilegate looking at artifacts like this? They're really not a company that does a lot of nerfs, as they said recently. After the Hua nerf, they were very, very hesitant on that. They're very, I think they were even apologetic at one point. They're apologetic here, but I think they really felt like it needed to be done. Otherwise, if you guys just look at the comments, right, they're getting a lot of backlash. So it's something they felt they need to do, at least in the balance department and things like that. Last thing I'll talk about is the recall schedule. Guys, I think you should just recall it. So when this finally rolls around, If you have a invested in Crimson Seed or Timeless Anchor, no matter what it is, I believe it just has to be artifact skill of 2 or higher. Go ahead and just recall it. Get back what you have in terms of charms, experience, things like that. And then you can just build it up later if you want to use it post buff. But I would just definitely recommend during the artifact or the recall period, go ahead and do it right now, because I do think, at least at first glance, I do think it's going to be so much worse than it is now. And then if you want to build it, like I said, you can build it later down the line. There's a few kind of tricks you can do here, guys, in terms of like leveling up these artifacts prior to recalling if you want, if you have multiple timeless anchors, for example. But I'm not going to talk about that specifically here. You guys can probably figure out what I'm saying, just in case, you know, maybe some people might consider that a little cheesy or whatever. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about these nerfs. Do you like Smilegate nerfing this? Does this affect you personally? Who are you using Crimson Seed on, Timeless Anchor on, if you are? And last but not least, how do you guys think, are you guys still going to try this out when it gets changed, or are you just going to jump to a different artifact? I'm probably just jumping to a different artifact or building effect resist on certain units now. So we'll end it there, guys. This was a surprise nerf, but it is what it is. So I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, guys.